Hey folks, Studio here. Now, let's talk about reviewing, about self-evaluation. So, I like to look at my replays. I like to look at my replays and go, alright, how do I improve? Do I have to do X? Do I have to do Y? You get better by playing this game, that is true. If you're actively trying to become better, thinking about things you need to improve on, and then learning from the game you play. But reviewing really helps too. It helps you find out what you need to improve on. It helps you just put those ideas in the back of your head. If I am doing X, I need to watch out for Y. If I am doing Z, I need to watch out for A. So it's always good to look through your replays, look through whatever you can to review. So if you can run a little replay on your computer, I know some people do have a few issues with it, so sorry. Maybe see if your friends you play with can run it too and send you the replays. Go ahead, run a little replay and look through your replays. Get better, get just stronger at yourself. You can notice these really small details when you look through your replays. It's very cool. And I'm actually going to be doing that today. I'm going to be looking through a replay I played with Kha'Zix for the first time. This was my first real game with Kha'Zix. I played one game beforehand, but servers crashed at the 6-minute mark, and I was also DCing at the same time. I think Southern California kind of went wonky for a sec. So, all I know is I was about to kill an AP Cho'Gath, but that really doesn't mean that much. So, if you need some courage, just go ahead, go to your grocery store and get your closest bottle of rum, close to your price range, I mean, and just go ahead, take a good swig from that now. No, I'm not gonna drink a lot of this, because what if I have to do a retake? If I have to do a retake, then I would not make it through many. Anyhow, always keep it in arm's reach though, in case you need it. Anyhow, yeah, let's go into a replay. So, Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix being played by me! Oh my god, it's me! And over at the other side of the map is another Kha'Zix! Oh my god, there's two Kha'Zix, and oh crap, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. So, why am I showing a replay that has two Kha'Zix? Why would I do that? Why would I show a two Kha'Zix replay? Because frankly, what's a great way to learn about a new character to play against it? What's a great way to learn about a new character to play as him? So this is kind of the best of both worlds. I learned about Kha'Zix by playing with him and against him. So I'm actually going to go over Kha'Zix's abilities because a lot of people might not know them that well. He is new and he did have a lot of hype built up around him, but you never know. So his Q, Taste Their Fear, going to call it Fear. It's a really good nuke if they're not near allied turrets, champions, or minions. So if you're far away from your team, guess what? You're going to get a lot of extra damage. If you're nearby, guess what? You're taking a lot less. It's very strong, and his evolution with it is pretty decent. You do a lot more damage if they're isolated. His W, Void Spike. If you explode it near you, you heal. There's a little AoE explosion, and if you're hit by the explosion, you heal. Aside from that, it's a pretty standard nuke. If you evolve it, you shoot out 3 spikes, and it also applies your passive. His E, Leap. You move a little bit. If you evolve it, you move a lot of it. And when you evolve it, it also resets on champion assist or champion kill. And then his ultimate, Void Assault. You go invisible for a second. You get your passive every time you go invisible. And if you evolve it, you can go invisible 3 times instead of 2 times. And you take reduced damage while stealthed. I don't like the ultimate a whole lot. I think it's a little worse than Rengar's ultimate, but they are fairly different characters. And his passive, if you're not seen, so if you're invisible or in a bush somewhere and the enemy can't see you, or just, somewhere where they can't see you, your next attack to a champion, and only champions, will deal extra damage and slow. So, Kha'Zix. How do you play him? How do I play him? I've actually had more time to experiment since this game, and my answer is I actually don't know. You can go for an assassin-style build that can work, but that can also end terribly. If the enemy team has, say, a Soraka, or a Nunu, or any sort of strong peel, and they just protect their AD carry, there's a good chance you can't do anything. If you leap to them and they're like Ezreal, they'll just leap away. Now, I'm going up against that Kha'Zix. That Kha'Zix has different runes and masteries than me. This is something I was able to learn by looking at the replay. So here, he has 65 AD, I have 72, I have 80 quints, he has move speed quints. So, this trade here, we both get an auto attack on each other, or a Q on each other, and he auto attacks me. So we both got Taste Their Fear, but he got the auto attack with the passive. I didn't use my passive, so I still have that up. And it's important to note that situations like this where you have different rune pages is actually a great way to learn what's going on. So right there, we both traded. I came out a little bit behind. However, we're going to trade again right here, and I'll come out about equal with him, despite the fact that he had damage over me and has more HP. So why does that happen? We both apply auto attacks, we both apply our passive, but Taste Their Fear has a really good scaling bonus AD ratio. So the fact that I'm running AD Masteries and AD Quints means I'm in a better situation for dealing damage. The fact that he was running defense and had move speed Quints meant that, guess what, I can actually bully him in those trades. So that's something important to notice. This is actually a great way to see how your runes and masteries work, because you can go, well, what if I had something else? Here at this point, I'm learning, well, if he jumps on me and I'm not near creeps, I take a crap load of damage. If you've played against a Kha'Zix, this is something you've probably learned, but this was my first time, so, you know, he leapt on me, my first instinct was a retreat, because he did have a level advantage, so it was going to be kind of a bad fight for me. But I took a crap load of damage for that, for no real reason. Now, I do know he has Leap. I thought Void Spike might be a better first skill, because it does give you some decent sustain, so I actually scale it second, and we go for this little gank here. I actually kind of like this gank. We both go aggressive on each other. I'm just able to walk into a bush, though, and just not die to the creep wave with barely any HP. And really, it's just kind of experimenting. Can I survive that much damage? Well, if he has a Leap instead of Void Spike, he's not going to have that good sustain damage, so I might be able to actually survive his burst and walk away, which was the case there. If he'd had Void Spike, he would have gotten a little bit of a heal and might have actually been able to catch up to me, maybe blow his flash for one last auto attack. Stuff you learn, stuff you learn. Now, Kha'Zix overall, how I build him now, I really don't know. I do like getting a point in E, his Leap at level 2. It is effective. At the same time, Void Spike does have very decent sustain. I'm actually wondering if you can build based off Void Spike, evolving it at level 6, and using just a really defensive, you know, I'm going to push and farm build. I don't know if that'll work, though, and I haven't really tried it much, because, you know, it's scary. So, Terra goes aggressive on me. I'm able to go ahead and trade with him decently, though, because he's isolated for one of the Taste the Fears. So, because of that trade, you know, I know I'm in a good spot, but I have to retreat. Unfortunately, I didn't get a kill. I only got the assist. And because of that, I'm actually not very far ahead of that Kha'Zix. We're both kind of equal. He has less CS than me, but he can zone me out now. And if I don't retreat quickly enough, I'm not going to be able to do anything. At this point, Garen does go for the gank. But unfortunately, move speed quintessences. Look how fast he is. Look how fast he's moving. So this is kind of when I realized that he had move speed quintessences. It took me a while to like sink in, but I knew this Kha'Zix is really fast. And Kha'Zix in general actually has really high base move speed. So he starts out at 325 with boots, you're plus 50. But 325 is one of the higher base move speeds. Not quite as fast as, say, Pantheon, but faster than most top laners out there. Faster than, for example, Jarvan and Vladimir. So he's a speedy little character. Rengar's only 320. Oh, chat's still on. Get out of there, chat. Get out of there. I think nothing too inflammatory is said, but just in case. Don't know if that picked up on the mic, but people just drove by and yelling things because, I don't know, they're having a good Saturday night. But, Kha'Zix. I have cloth armor. I have a Doran's Blade. I'm going into this lane thinking about that Kha'Zix. So this Kha'Zix I want to beat up. He's got just boots and 4 potions. He's got sustain. I don't have the same, but I have more damage and more tankiness. And because I'm running 80 quintessences and 80 runes, I have a lot more oomph with my attacks. Now this is that situation that's kind of weird to learn about. It's how do you survive ganks in lane. This is something you have to do with every top laner. So just figure out how well can I deal with offense from X character. So Trundle, my thinking is if he goes aggressive onto me, I can just go ahead and leap through his pillar and I'll be fine. I leap through his pillar and I'm in a okay spot actually. I turn to go aggressive and I'm just able to run away. Kha'Zix is very fast like I mentioned before. Trundle actually makes a mistake, goes for the turret dive and takes one too many tower shots. So in the end, how does Kha'Zix survive ganks from someone like Trundle? Well, if you're far enough back, you can just leap away. And if I didn't evolve E by that point, I would have been super safe. At this point, it's actually a very scary lane for both of us. We're both playing aggressively. This is also one of Terra Ara's first games as Kha'Zix too. So we really don't know what we're doing. And that's important to note with this. We will both make mistakes, and we both don't know what the hell we're doing because we never played the character before. But at this point, we're being very cautious with each other. We realize that we're threats to each other, and I know if I can get him isolated and I can stay near my own creeps, I'll be able to beat him up because I have that red buff and I have just the item advantage. He actually goes back here, which was a really smart move because had I isolated him, I probably would have gotten the murder. Just the evolution is too strong. So, evolution choices. Now this threw me off, and I'm really not sure what to evolve first. I still think Taste Their Fear is the best for damage. but the evolutions all provide really unique bonuses. And this is something interesting about his design. You choose skills based off the game and based off what you think will matter the most. So for example, if I'm just planning to duel that Kha'Zix non-stop top lane and I want to be able to win the duel, maybe not necessarily kill him, but if we ever 1v1 I want to have an advantage, Taste Their Fear is a great thing to level up, because guess what, we get into a duel, we both get isolated, I'll win the trades if I have Taste Their Fear and he doesn't. If I go for Void Spike, that's going to be a lot more sustain. I'm not positive about this. I believe if the spikes hit you, you might be healed multiple times. I'm not positive about that. I haven't actually got a chance to test that out, but that was something somebody was telling me right before this game. But regardless, you have better push potential, you have better defense. But, you know, you don't have that dueling capabilities necessarily. So you are making a big sacrifice by going for an evolved Void Spike. And someone was actually telling me, max out Leap first, like evolve it first. Not max it, but evolve it. And it makes some sense. You get really long leap range, and the reset's decent. It makes them very good in like smaller team fights, and even the bigger ones actually, if you can get early assist to leap to the AD carry. And then his ultimate, I don't think anybody's ever said to evolve his ultimate first, but it still has really good presence in an AoE composition if you're up against one. Now, actually I'll go ahead and just go through this. Me and Terra go for a duel here. There's something I don't know about Kha'Zix, and it's the signs of what he's evolved. If you watch the original run in this video, you know I just freak out because their Kha'Zix is red, which means he evolved Void Assault first. So I didn't know this. I didn't know this entire game. I didn't know what he'd evolved first because I didn't know the signs. If you look at my character, he's got spikes, or he's got serrated claws. So I look fancy. Now, learning. Kha'Zix has a really slow auto attack animation. That is something I learned right there. I also learned I should have been more aggressive here. So I try to run, I try to use my stealth, I'm trying to escape this situation. But there's a Kennen ulting me, the Kha'Zix is low, I turn and actually try to burst him down, I get really close. But because I wasn't aggressive enough early on, it's just not enough to finish and get that kill. So one more auto attack for myself would have been enough for that kill, as he actually has to leap away at the last second. And why didn't I get it? Because I wasn't sure I could survive that. I wasn't sure if I could escape. I didn't even blow my flash. Had I blown my flash, I actually might have gotten out of that situation, but I kind of assumed I'd be able to leap away and be safe, which wasn't really the case. I was also going for the kill early on. It's, you know, waffled. Really what this means is I should be playing more aggressive, more concentrated. But back to the Tales of Kha'Zix. So if he's red like this, he evolved his ultimate. If you see these serrated claws, he's evolved his claws. That leaves his Void Spike, which you'll see that eventually spikes pop out of his back. And Leap, which he grows wings. That one is, I'd say, the most obvious besides the red. But you should always look for those signs if you don't see him evolve, because, hey, knowing what he has ability-wise is always important. And the fact that they're visual indicators you can use them, abuse them, go crazy with them. Because if you can see what somebody is doing in terms of skills, go crazy. It's really effective. It's not always awesome, but the fact that Kha'Zix is so situational means you can get really a lot of knowledge of what he wants to do. And I mean, ask yourself, what would you evolve first? Well, normally I'm just going to go for Taste Their Fear. It also increases his auto attack range so you can farm really easily. And it's going to be great in teamfights because you can stick on a carry with a bit more range, with a bit more safety. But maybe you don't always want it first. And I don't know this yet. I don't know this myself as of this recording. In this game I had no idea what the hell I was doing. But learning. So going through the replay, you want to look for those decisions that you're making and say, well, was this right? Was this wrong? Why was it right? Why was it wrong? So, for example, there I went, well, going for Kha'Zix was a good idea. I should have committed more. I also have to watch out for the fact that he has a really long attack animation that can be juked with the stealth. At this point, I watched this duel right here, and it's like, well, we keep poking at each other. I'm winning the trades because I have more AD and better AD runes. He's a tiny bit behind me in terms of items. He doesn't have the Ninja Tabby recipe, but I have really almost the same items. And because I'm being more aggressive, being more offensive with my runes and just in general, I'm punishing him a lot more. So being aggressive with Kha'Zix really does pay off. You can't be necessarily that defensive because his defense, well, his defensive options are going to be Void Spike, which drains mana quite a bit. That's something I learned while playing. Void Spike will go crazy to your mana. But if you're playing defensively, you don't really have options. You can't really punish someone for being offensive. You can just deal damage and hope they're isolated. Now this fight right here, it throws me off that I win this fight so soundly. So we're both going after each other. I use my stealth. I'm able to go ahead, just take him down to low HP, and then Trundle shows up. Using my stealth, I walk away. We both flash away. Like, we're both trying to get away. Now, watch the damage here. So I'm down to 133 HP, 134. Me and Carter are just going at it. I'm down to 50 HP. I heal myself back up to 124. I've used all my skills, and I'm just trying to finish off Trundle at this point. So I'm down to 20 HP. I pick up the kill. I'm at 22 HP, and I die. Red buff did 21 point something damage, like 21.7. That was enough to pick up the kill. But I made a key mistake. And I want you to look where my mouse pointer is going. Whoa. I'm just going to zoom. I'm just going to go through this 2x speed. What do I not use? What do I not use? I don't use the potion. And I know why I didn't use a potion. Because I wasn't focused. I wasn't paying attention enough to my actual abilities. I wasn't comfortable. That's something important to remember. I know that's a mistake I would not make in most situations. I would only make it if I'm not comfortable with how I'm playing. However, I did realize Trundle, like if I do have no escape besides my ultimate, I'm susceptible to ganks. That leap is awesome. That leap is amazing for getting out of so many situations, especially after you evolve it. But when you only have it at level 1, when you don't have it up especially, and the ultimate is you only have one charge of it, you're not getting out of bad situations. So I played this game with real life friends, well, real enough life friends, and I know Garen, and he missed a lot of abilities, and I feel unfortunate because, you know, we saw him Rudy creep right there, but you know, hey, live and learn. At this point, it's also, hey, I can't actually kill Kha'Zix underneath his turret because he can just juke me with that stealth. So you learn a lot just kind of going through it. It's like, well, what situations can I kill Kha'Zix? If he's level 6 underneath his turret, he's surviving. He's just going to juke with his stealth. He can escape with his leap. If we just sit under the turret trying to catch him, we'll die to the turret. Especially if someone like Trundle shows up. So I know, well, these are my options. I got to be defensive in these cases. I can be offensive now. So when I'm going to be defensive as Kha'Zix, if I don't have my my stealth or my leap up, I can't go for the super high offense. Now, here's Terret going aggressive again, and the same thing kind of happens. He doesn't have that evolved Q, and the damage trays just go in my favor. I'm able to ignite him. I'm able to chase him down. And really, it's interesting for me looking at that. Like, looking at his Kha'Zix, he's got the Q, he's got Void Spike at 3, and we're more or less equal. Like, actually, I think item-wise, yeah, we're dead even item-wise. So, I'm winning trades, and it took me a while to learn that it's only because I had Taste Their Fear, or Taste the Fear, evolved instead of the ultimate. And I didn't actually know the sign. If you saw the first recording of this, I freaked out when I noticed that he was red, and he was red because he evolved the ultimate. But looking for those signs of when you're winning duels. It's weird to think about this, but you can predict who's going to win most 1v1 situations. So there's always situations like, well, there were more creeps attacking that guy, so he should win it. But you can kind of predict what's going to happen, like, let's say, Garen versus Kha'Zix. You can predict that matchup for the most part. You can predict most matchups. You just have to have that experience. Now, it's going to be specific for the most part. All those cases are going to be more or less the same, are more or less unique. So, like, let's say I'm going up against Garen, but he has 80 runes. Well, maybe that will win a matchup that a Garen with defensive runes and defensive masteries wouldn't win. And you have to like look at every situation. So in this situation, I know if I'm a Kha'Zix and their Kha'Zix evolves the ultimate first, if we get into a 1v1 sustained duel, I will win that duel. Even if we have similar items. At this point, we have the exact same items. He just has health potions, actually on a longsword over me. But because I do have that evolved Q, I will win every duel. If we get into any sort of isolated situation, which we're both playing Kha'Zix, we're going to try and isolate each other, and in doing so, probably get isolated ourselves. It's kind of funny. That's something that you really won't have to watch out for in most fights. But this is something I didn't learn. This is something I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know the signs for Kha'Zix evolving his ultimate. And of course, it's probably not going to happen a lot. I don't think many Kha'Zix will evolve their ultimate first, but knowing the signs of what can happen is important. Now right there, those spikes on the back, Kha'Zix has Void Spikes on. Now this fight here, looking through it, I was wondering if there was anything I could have done better. So I almost have my flash up. It's about a pop. I just tried and fight Terror right there. Just, you know, use my abilities. I had no mana. I had very few options. And luckily, I am able to pick up the kill. Because once he leaves the turret, he does stealth, but even with the evolution, it doesn't proc in time. Did I do what I need to do there? Yes. I don't think there was a whole lot I could have done without any cooldowns up. He didn't have the leap evolve, so if I died, he wasn't going to get a guaranteed escape. I kind of knew that, and well, because I saw the attack animations actually. So knowing that, I think I did what was right in that situation. Now, always look for mistakes, always look for things you can improve on, but look for things you did right. Because think of the positioning here. Where was I? Right here in the turret. This is this point behind the turret. You have the least options to actually escape it, to escape the turret range. Because you can only go to the left, you can only go to the right. Because it's a circle, if you go in any direction, it's going to be the same distance or possibly further. So the best option would be to lead like this, like going out to the left. Had I been like out in front, they could have just gone this way. Had I been like out in the back, they could have gone this way. But I was here. I was way, way in the back of that turret. And his choices were swing to the left or swing to the right. Same distance both ways. So looking at that, I know if I do get into a 1v1, and this is as most characters, if it's a 1v1 melee duel, get behind the turret. It's going to have the longest time to actually get to escape it. I might pick up the kill because of it. That's something that's helped me actually in other situations, and that's something that I never really actively thought of until I looked at this replay and kind of broke it down. So look for the things you do right, and realize most of the knowledge you get could apply to a lot of general situations. So I said, specific matchups, you need to know them. But guess what? There's so many things that will apply to the general, it's good to know it. Now here, I try and dual Terra. I just kind of wondered if I could, beat him up at all. No, he's got 2 levels on me, so, even though I get a good isolated hit on him, it wasn't the best duel. And he lets me get some more isolated hits on him. And that was just me kind of going, well, he's ahead of me, but if he's isolated, can I kill him? The answer is yes. If we try and duel and he's isolated because I have the claw upgrade, I wreck him. I wreck him so bad. So bad. Now at this point, I evolve my W in front of him, learn you can't really cancel the animation, and we try and go for a kill on him. Looking through this, I think I could have flash leapt and killed him off, but I wasn't confident in my burst damage. But with the way Taste Their Fear works, I would have just destroyed him. Trundle also shows up, so we're being cautious about that. But who wants to be cautious with Trundles? Whatever. We actually both just disengaged because, man, low HP Kha'Zix trying to kill each other is scary. This point? No, there's one point where Annie runs into Ken and just blows him up, but I guess that wasn't it. So at this point, both people on the different side of the lane are being super cautious, but we're aware, if we get into a fight, we'll probably die. And we should just, back off. In this case, we're actually trying to bait out Kha'Zix because we saw Ken and Trundle leave. But we're not able to catch him because he's fast. He's at 413 move speed. That took me a while to catch on to the fact that I would never really be able to keep up with him. Now, item builds, and actually evolution. So I evolved my W. Was this the right choice? Maybe? I actually don't know. It's a good skill. It's great when it's evolved. You clear waves like crazy, and you can push so well. But I don't know if we needed that push potential. I don't know if I need the leap instead to go to the front line and be aggressive. As for item builds, I'm going Brutalizer into Phage, and then I was going to go build that into their, I believe, a Frozen Mallet this game. Item builds. Are they right? I don't know. I don't like this item build a whole lot. I think he actually might need a Triforce, even though he doesn't benefit that much. He needs all the stats. Like the Triforce proc is good on him, but it's not amazing because he doesn't have the highest base AD. But he needs a movement speed. He needs a slow. He needs well, the proc's still decent on him. So I don't know. I kind of like it, kind of don't. Still working on that myself. But this game, I did not like the Brutalizer Mallet build. That's something that's always good to look for replays too. It's like, did the item build work? It's like, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. If I didn't win the game, that's not the best indicator. It's more, did the situations I get presented with benefit me? Also, I ended up really far behind experience-wise, but looking at the gold, I'm not really far behind their Kha'Zix at all. And the reason was, there were a lot of fights that I got pushed out of lane, or I couldn't really get the CS afterwards. That's because we'd go aggressive while I was low on HP, and then afterwards I'd have to run, because what if Trundle killed me? At this point, I actually recognized I'm like, I can't actually go for the kill because I need the experience. I could not leave that creep wave. Now me and Terra start dueling each other, both aggressively, both leaping at each other actually. And the question is, who can win this duel? Well, Terra didn't really realize this, but since I have all my Qs, I can win the duel. And I just stay aggressive, I keep chasing. I use the ult once just to catch up and the slow. He used the ult himself though, so he tries to get away. It's a very dumb chase. And I'm able to keep up and kill him. Now that's something I definitely realized about Kha'Zix. When you use the ult, you should be getting an auto attack each time, just because it will be really effective. Now here, I make a mistake. So I use my Void Spike right there to apply some damage. I should have used it when he was next to me for the heal. And I would have survived this exchange. Because man, Kennen, 106 auto attack damage, that's insane. They do pick him off, but there was no reason for me to die there. And that's something like I've learned. That was a mistake. If I'm going to go towards a cannon like that, use my W or back off. Like, don't waste the heal if I'm in such a situation where I'm solo. I could die to just his auto attacks and a bit of his magic damage. His ultimate was on cooldown. I did see that happen before, but I underestimated how much damage he could do with the ultimate off cooldown. And that part of that is because I haven't seen a Ken in forever, because he really fell out of the meta. He does pop up every now and then. I love him, but man, you can really forget how quickly someone does damage. Oh, this is I get a Bloodthirster eventually. So me and Tara, we keep going at it. And really, I can't reinforce the point enough that, well, I'm going to win the duels because I evolved W, or evolved Q. He has W in his ultimate, which is great, but doesn't really help him in these duels. So I have a Vamp Scepter, and the main point of the Vamp Scepter is just so I can use my auto attacks to sustain, as well as the Void Spike. So I've got good options. I can always use W to heal, and then follow that up with auto attacks, clean up creeps, and I will win that exchange. Here at Kha'Zix, we both try and jump on each other. I was not isolated because I had that cannon minion beat him up for me, but he was. So I learned I can go ahead and win those situations. Here, this is just, Phage is crap. I hate you, Phage. I hate you so much, Phage, because that was dumb. That was really annoying that Ezreal got a Phage proc there. But, you know, this is just kind of one of those, well, I'm not really that mobile as Kha'Zix, you know, trying to escape Ezreal by going through the brush may have not been the best idea, but I don't like what I did there. I should have just backed up at the end, but I won that farm. So at this point, you have to ask yourself, did I do what was right? Kinda did. I did try and escape through the brush. Ezreal was faster than me though because he has that Triforce. I don't have the move speed, so he was going to catch up anyways. I probably should have just tried to debook it and use the leap early, and then flash any sort of a mystic shot that came out. But in the end I didn't, and the result was I died. Which is unfortunate, but hey, what are you going to do? It's always actually harder to tell, when do you go through this brush right here, when do you go through this brush right here, or through the path right here. Because quite often you see people like, I gotta run away, I'll go through the brush. They'll go up through the brush and the other guys will just cut through the line and cut them off. Now, I'm going to go ahead and look at my friend Maniac, which is fun because he makes a mistake here. But I want to see how their Terra, or their Kha'Zix kills Vayne, because he does get the kill here. Now, this is important to see because I can see, well, with this playstyle, you know, Kha'Zix works. So what does their Kha'Zix have? He has Phage, Spell Vamp, or Life Vamp Scepter, 2 Doran's Blade, and Ninja Tabby. Maniac has almost a Bloodthirster. So Kha'Zix, because he has that move speed increase, he's able just to keep chasing, keep almost walking behind Vayne. And even though she does have Tumble, his auto attack range and his move speed are high enough to still get auto attacks as she tumbles. So this is a very close fight, you know. Maniac takes him down to about 1/4, 1/3 HP. But he's able to win it because he's so fast and so mobile. Had he had attack speed quintessence instead, he might have been able to beat her just because he'd have that burst. Also, Maniac waited a bit too long on that condemn, but he knows that. He knows he should have condemned earlier. Even if he didn't get the stun off, he needed just to get Kha'Zix out of there. It's one of those things where he didn't know the champion either, so he tried to you know, kite him and chase him like you normally would, but in taking him away from the creeps, that just let him get more, you know, taste the fear procs while he was isolated. But that happens sometimes, you know. Hey, it's like, I should do this because this will work against most champions, but nope, this is the one you actually want to stick near the creep wave with. So, team fights. This was all kind of laning, all like how we worked in these little skirmishes. Team fight phase will be interesting because this is where the item build I think really comes into play. At this point, I'm actually trying to save for a Bloodthirster, and this is something I felt in game, but looking afterwards, I have too many small items. So I have Brutalizer, Phage, a Vamp Scepter, and 2 Doran's Blades. At this point, if I want to build a BF Sword to get a Bloodthirster, I have to either sell Doran's Blade or buy the entire item. I actually go for saving for the entire item, I believe, because I hate being inefficient like that, but if I have to sell a Doran's Blade at the 25-minute mark, obviously there's a flaw in the item build because either he needs items so early so badly that I'm making a mistake by going for the Bloodthirster, or I'm making a mistake by going for the Bloodthirster because if I don't have an item slot, then I shouldn't have picked up that build. I should not have this many items and be going for an item or waiting for 2,500 gold, because that is an eternity. But team fights. What does Kha'Zix do in team fight? Well, my thinking at this point was, I want to get towards that guy, towards Ezreal. I just want to hug him and taste his fear and be rude, and void spike him and just beat him up, call him a sissy, take his lunch money, give him just a huge wedgie. Hey, they double warded. I didn't know that. But, that's what I want to do. I just want to hug Ezreal and just try to take him out. Now, with my item build, I have Phage, I have decent burst damage, don't have the BF sword yet, so it's not magnificent burst damage, but it's effective. It's going to have some wump to it. It's going to wump him pretty good, but I have to get to him. That's going to be the big issue for me. And this is something that, like, I want to look through. I looked through like 5 times to see, well, what went wrong here. So we're just going to watch this team fight normally. I'm not going to say a damn thing, so you can see kind of what happens to me. Now, what the heck happened to me? What did I do in that team fight? Nothing. I really didn't do anything. I chased on Ezreal. I took their focus for a little while, but I didn't do a lot of damage to him. He survived with about half HP, and he does have, you know, a Vamp Scepter. He will lifesteal that most of that back very quickly. So looking at this fight, it starts with me getting slowed by their Kha'Zix. That's something I didn't notice when I first played this. I stealth to try and get away, then I'm like, alright, now I gotta get back into the fight, and I use the stealth offensively. And I actually leap towards Ezreal, but the problem is by using that leap early, Ezreal can go ahead and Arcane Shift to get out of the fight. He still has Arcane Shift up. He's trying to actually do something funny where he jukes me to the bush and then escapes by shifting over me. He doesn't even actually use Arcane Shift. He does finally use it to get over the wall, but at that point he's been so peeled by Trundle that it doesn't matter. So what did I do? Well, I used my ult once to escape. I used my ult once a second time to initiate. By that time, I didn't have the ultimate for movement speed. So getting to Ezreal, he could walk away from me after my one slow applaud. If I didn't proc a Phage, he was going to get away no matter what. Thing is, Sona was also there. She exhausted me. Trundle used his own pillar to try to zone me out. They peeled for Ezreal really well. And some characters would not care about that. Rengar, for example, Ezreal would have died in about half a second. Akali, Ezreal wouldn't have been able to escape her because she would just use the ultimate to keep up with him. Kha'Zix, well, he doesn't do that much damage, and I used all of his mobility skills to get into the fight in the first place. So what does that teach me? Well, if I'm going to play Kha'Zix, I have to get to the fight I have to get to the character I want to get to, only using one mobility skill. I can't blow everything at once, because if I do, guess what? I'm not going to get to the fight, or I'm not going to be able to stay on who I want to stay on. Now, I could have evolved my E, the leap. The advantage there is, I'd be able to, stick with him, or even try and get assists on the front line, then jump to him and still have the jump potential by getting the assist. Kind of like getting Tristana's rocket jump up, much more offensive. So, would that work? Maybe. But that's not what I have now, and I don't know if I'm going to have it that often in the future, so that's the thing I got to think about. When do I want to have that leap evolved? Leap is really damn good when it's evolved. That range is gigantic. You'll get to see it once I hit 16, because it's what I evolved third. But the question is, how do I get to an 80 carry in a team fight? And that's something I'm still working on. I think part of it's the item build. By going for a Bloodthirster now, I just do not have good survivability, and I don't have a high movement speed. Obviously, if I went for a Trinity Force at this point, that'd be pretty effective in terms of keeping me up there, but I wouldn't have that finished yet. Part of it, too, is I have a lot of gold stored up. I have 1,700, but because I have that Vamp Scepter, I'm waiting for the BF Sword. For my Bloodthirster, I can't buy anything. If I didn't have if I could have had a Sheen and be really close to a Trinity Force by now, but because I'm going for a Bloodthirster, I just have a Vamp Scepter and nothing. So I'm thinking Triforce here, but obviously this may not be the right build. There's lots of choice available. I'm gonna wait for other people to do stuff so I can watch them. Now, at this point, we're behind 8,000 gold. I kind of knew this, so we get desperate to try and go for Ezreal. It's like, well, Ezreal's really scary right now. What if we can keep up with him? This is kind of experimenting with Kha'Zix in team fights. I was trying to keep up with him. I do have my leap up, so I am trying to maintain that distance, but I don't actually use it, and I'm not too sure why I didn't use it in this fight. I think the idea was I want to be able to chase him after we got through that fight, which I do at the very end. It's like, well, I can burst him at the last second. But by the time we do burst him, guess what? The rest of his team showed up and we have to run. So damn. We gotta get out of there. I actually really like this escape too. It's a really silly escape because the enemy team plays it perfectly. It's like, alright, I see Kha'Zix here. I knew he was actually going to go for us because he was going through this brush. I knew he was going to go one of two places. Up here to cut us off, or around here, and we spot him going to the base, so I try him back at this point. But does it work? No, because Trundle shows up too. Leap away from the pillar, is it going to be enough? No. No, it's not. They do catch us, and they do kill us. Rest in peace. Now at this point, we're so far behind, this is like death in most games. Even tournament games, when you're behind by about 10,000, it's really hard to come back from. And this was us goofing around as friends, so it does not end that well. Vayne does kill Kha'Zix, that's pretty cool. But, you know, there's only 5 minutes left. We're not going to win this game. But it's important to see, it's like, well, why did we not win this game? What were some of the things that I personally did wrong? Now, obviously, my entire team made mistakes. Their team made a lot of mistakes too. But what did I do wrong? And what did I do right? So top lane, early on, I got pressured a lot at level 1 by that Kha'Zix. You know, I let him hit level 2. I was actually able to beat him in trades because I had those 80 quintessences, and I could dominate him. When I, you know, took an extra auto attack but still won a trade, and was able to maintain the life, you know, equality. The only reason I fell behind was because, guess what? I let him hit level 2 first. So I know that now. If I can get level 2, I can kind of control the lane. Use the health potion against Trundle, that's more of a comfort with a character thing. So get more comfortable with my character. That one's not too hard. That one's pretty easy. Staying on the 80 carry in team fights, that I think is a big thing. Alright, how do I stay on the 80 carry? Well, I gotta make sure by the time I've gotten to him, I haven't used both my R's, I haven't used my leap. I have to have as much available to me as possible. To give an example, I was watching Mandatory Cloud play Diana today, and he did something really cool. He would land his Crescent Strike the Q, and that doesn't use the cooldown of your ultimate if you use it on somebody who's been hit by Crescent Strike. Now, what I would do 90% of the time is hit Crescent Strike, ultimate someone twice, just to go ahead and apply damage and you know, go for a kill. What Mandatory Cloud was doing was he knew that the mobility mattered more in the end, so he would use Crescent Strike and he would just use the ultimate once, so it wouldn't go on cooldown. So he could just keep up with people, and if he needed to, he could bust out the ultimate a second time. But for just chasing down individual people, it was Crescent Strike, ultimate, Crescent Strike, ultimate, and that was really cool to see. And that's kind of just, you know, the ingenuity when it comes to staying on people. For Kha'Zix, I know, well, my best option is going to be get an earlier point of evolution in the E, try and get an assist on somebody else, and try and keep up through that way. Or maybe just use the ultimate, or maybe just use an evolved leap. Like, I gotta use one thing, I gotta save my options, and that's important. That's something I really know now. Kha'Zix, not Rengar. He's not gonna leap to a target and instantly kill them. If he's very far ahead and they're isolated, he can almost do that. But Rengar can do that in almost any situation. What I'm saying is Rengar is broken, but that's beside the point. A lot of characters can do the assassin style kills. Kha'Zix really can't. And he also really can't stick on target quite as well as, say, Olaf can, because he has the ultimate. So I gotta figure out these situations, well, how can I stick to carries? Do I need a second diver with me? Do I need to go ahead and go for the frontline kills? What should I be building item-wise? I gotta learn these tidbits, these little facts, these little things I have to do. But now I know a lot more. Now I know where I'm going, where I'm working towards, what my goal is. I mean, you can criticize my play. This was my first Kha'Zix game. I've gotten better with him since then. I do stuff like notice when Trundle has oracles. But now I know where I'm going. I need to find the holes in my plan, fill them up, and, you know, try and do something new. Once I've figured out those holes, there should be new holes. I should fill those up too. Eventually, I'm not going to say I'll get perfect, but I'll get into a really comfortable spot with a character where I'm satisfied. I'm not satisfied with the play of this game, but very few people are like, man, that was my first game ever as blank. I'll never play that well again. Now, I do something very dumb. I try to chase Trundle. Now, something I didn't notice that Trundle had was Baron buff. He's exalted with Baron Nashor. Look at that, look at that. He and Baron Nashor, they're tight. So he also has a Force of Nature. What I'm trying to say is his HP per 10, or per 5, is 180. He's getting 180 HP per 5 seconds, and I'm trying to chase him down. He's actually already at half HP. And this was me just not knowing that Trundle had 8 kills. He's actually almost legendary. I believe he actually might be legendary at this point. I just didn't notice, which was really, really dumb of me. But I try to 1v1 him. It's like, wait, I'm dead. He eats me out of the sky. Rest in peace, me. I didn't know he joked there. Now I didn't know he was being rude, but now he was. But of course, it's just, you know, more knowledge, more info. Well, what does this mean? Don't let Trundle get fed and try to 1v1 him. You know, maybe kill him in a team fight, but don't try to kill Trundle when he has 2,600 HP, a Force of Nature, and a Triforce, as well as Exalted with Baron Nashor. That's a dumb idea. That's something I kind of know now. Watch out for that Trundle. You know, look a bit more into the item build, though it is surprising to see Trundle have 9 kills. Because he definitely earned a lot of them, but at the same time, you know, that's a lot of kills. I don't know if he got 9 kills, but he was sustained damage doing really well in team fights. But how about their Kha'Zix? Do I like what he's doing? So he's able to really burst people down. He actually has a Stark's Fervor. It's a very Rengarish build. But I don't know if I like this build because it's all about, you know, burst damage. He's not really survivable. He is still fairly squishy. He has a lot of HP, but he has no mitigation, no resistances. And the question is going to be, is that something I really like? Well, kind of. You know, it's good damage. But I'd have to experiment with it myself, see how it works out in team fights. He's able to survive a decent amount of time, but, you know, imagine if Andy had more AP. He would have gotten blown up just from the AoE spells. That was in only one single target nuke. And once he's damaged in the fight, once he gets poked down, he really doesn't have any options. Now, I'm not saying my Kha'Zix build would be in a better situation, but maybe I like this, maybe I don't. So look through your replays, look for those mistakes you make, look for those things you can do better. Now, Kha'Zix. I'm going to just go ahead and watch this next explode. Now, Kha'Zix, though, how do you get better with him? Like, what do you do with Kha'Zix? That's something, really, you're going to have to figure that out on your own, or wait a long time for someone to make a guide and be like, this is the Kha'Zix guide, this is how you play him. He seems to be more of an assassin, but he can't burst people down, so he might be better with sustained DPS. He definitely has a very good mobility skill with his dash, but that dash, that leap, that wings, that flying, it's decent, but it's very hard to always use it in a team fight because it has a long cooldown, you know, 9 seconds or 10 seconds at max rank, possibly even more, and you only get the reset once you evolve it, so you definitely invest a lot to go for that. So maybe he's going to be more like a late game tanky DPS assassin, because you can definitely assassinate people very easily. But then, you know, you ask yourself, well, can I assassinate people who aren't grouped or who aren't isolated? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. My experiences with Kha'Zix so far have been you can almost always pick off the AD carry if they're alone. Eventually, late game, late game, they might be able to beat you, but probably not. Getting the Triforce really amplifies the damage. Then, you know, you can build kind of defensively. Maybe get a Randuin's to keep people near you. I don't know if that's effective. I like it. I'm still experimenting, still finding things I like. But looking through that replay, I just want to like list 5 things I learned when I looked through that replay that I didn't know before. 1, I know that when Kha'Zix evolves, his ultimate, he will turn red. That might sound really obvious, but it's a big deal. 2, I learned how important the bonus AD ratio is on Taste the Fear. It's massive. It's a 3-to-1 AD ratio for bonus AD. That's pretty damn impressive. 3, I learned that one of Kha'Zix's big flaws is once you use his initiate, his engage, his leap, if they're a mobility AD carry like Ezreal, like Graves, like Corki, it's hard to keep up with people. If you do have your ultimate up, that's fine. That can work, but will it be enough? Maybe, maybe not. Kind of iffy on that one. Still experimenting. So far I've seen a lot of yes, a lot of no. It depends on if they have oracles and how good their peel is. Number 4, he's really bad against good peel. If they have a Trundle Pillar, for example, you're screwed if they use it on you because you can't chase through it. You gotta watch out for those good peelers. And 5, I learned that my item build was not efficient space-wise, which is a problem most people don't have. Usually it's like, oh, double Doran's Blade, and then you can buy like a big item like a BF sword, but because I had so many small items, I ran out of inventory space. And that's something I know now. It's something, well, I can adapt from this. I can get better from this. Now, you can do that with most of your replays. You might need that courage. Don't drink to look at your replays. But you can do that with all of your replays. You can look through it and just find ways to improve. It's not fun sometimes. Sometimes like man, I made a really big mistake there. I don't really have an excuse for it. And that does happen sometimes. But if you learn from that really big mistake, and you can go ahead and not replicate it, not do it ever again, guess what? You're a better player. But you got to do it. I'm not going to do it for you. Well, no, I'm not going to do it for you. Look through your replay, trash yourself, tell yourself you're awesome, and then just get better. It'll happen. Think of the things you need to improve on, then improve on them, and you will be a better player. But that is all for today. Goodbye, folks. Good night. Adios. Buenas noches.